Ladies and gentlemen, well, welcome to Meet People, the podcast of the Southwest Meat Association. I can't wait to have these conversations, and we're going to do everything we can to make it entertaining and valuable and a great representation of meeting the people. All right, here we go. It's another episode of Meet People. I love that name. It's so fun to be a part of this podcast and really this association, the Southwest Meat Association. And today we're going to be talking with Miss Lacy Bates about the 69th Annual Convention and Supplier Showcase. Now, for everybody who's listening and may be familiar with the Southwest Meat Association, may not be, may know Lacy, may not know Lacy, I'm going to read a little bio about her just to let you know who she is. Lacy Bates joined the SMA staff as a Membership Development Manager in April of 2018. Doesn't time fly?
It does.
Yeah. Lacy graduated from Texas A&M University. I wanted to say, whoop, but then I thought, I don't know if I could do that. I'm not an Aggie graduate, so I might have just broke the rules. Maybe nobody will make me do push-ups. Let's see. Graduated from Texas A&M with a BS in Animal Science in 2012. Later, in 2014, Lacy graduated from Sam Houston University with her MS in Agriculture. Her job duties include recruiting new membership, current member outreach, planning SMA outreach events, and assisting with SMA convention planning.
Yes.
That's a long list.
It's a long list. There may or may not be some things missing, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's right. That's the funny thing about any bio. You know, it's on the website. Anybody can find it. By the way, if you've never been to southwestmeat.org, you got to go check it out.
Absolutely. And that's also one of my duties.
Keep that up. Yeah, that's right. And be a podcast guest.
That's
and
right.
Help us make sure we're doing things, talking to the right people, and doing things with this opportunity to be in front of people that helps promote the SMA.
Absolutely. It's all about the people.
Yeah, that's right. At the end of the day, that's why you got to come to the convention.
That's right.
Come meet the people. Don't be that guy or gal that says, I'm going to have a meat processing plant, and then think you're going to do it all on your own, because that's not going to work out very good for you.
That's right. You're leaving a lot out on the table.
Yeah, that's right. Now, you may be able to grind it out and stay alive and make some money and have a good living, but Lacy put it about as good as I could think. You're going to be leaving some meat on the bone, or, profits on the table, or opportunities on the table if you don't get involved. So
absolutely.
We're here to convince you should do that. And really, I don't know any other way to do it better than to just, let's talk about the 69th annual convention. I mean, you got to be doing something right to have that many.
Oh, absolutely. I can't believe, next year's going to be our 70th.
Yeah.
And so this is actually my 7th year at SMA, but my 8th convention. And I was thrown to the wolves my first one because I started in April, like my bio says, and our convention is always in July. Right. So I was still learning SMA.
Yeah. And convention time.
And then convention time. So this year, with the 69th Annual Convention, we're going to be back to our old stomping grounds at the Hyatt Hill Country. We haven't been there since 2017, and it's a beautiful resort located there in San Antonio, Texas. And if you have ever been to the Hill Country side of Texas or floated the river, that's exactly what the Hyatt Hill Country feels like. Yeah. Surrounded by big oak trees and a lazy floating river. And I'm not going to say that some business might not get done out there by the floating river or the pool at an SMA convention. So
bring your swimsuit.
Yes.
There'll be a reason to go float the lazy river at the Hyatt Hill Country, as a lot of the members of the association do. And that's one thing I enjoy about the convention, and I know is kind of a goal of the convention, is that networking piece where you want to set this thing up. We're going to get to speakers and who they are and what those topics are and that kind of thing, but don't miss the opportunity to go relax and be around industry peers floating on the lazy river, drinking a beer or a ice cold water.
Whatever your beverage of choice is.
Yeah, that's right. and just talking. Like, man, I had this problem. Oh, really? What'd you do about it? Well, this is what I did. I had the same problem. Lots of those conversations happen, and even some of them are like, man, I had a guy asking me about bacon the other day, and all I make is sausage. I heard you make bacon. Here's his name.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff happens.
Absolutely. And I think, too, is one thing that we don't want to miss is the family fun aspect of it. We are a very family-friendly organization, and we encourage people to bring their wives, husbands, their children, and whoever else, and make it a little bit of a vacation out of it, too.
Yeah, you bet. Anybody that owns a small business understands how hard it is to get away from the small business and, work on your business and not in your business. And this is one of those opportunities, and the family can kind of participate as well while everybody's also getting a little business done.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm going to look at the notes here. That's July 16th and 19th. So anybody mark that day off of your calendar. You're not working that day. You're going to the convention. Well, I don't know. What about the golf tournament? I've been able to participate a couple times, and I've really enjoyed it.
Yes. So we kick things off on Wednesday afternoon, late evening, with just a little networking cocktail hour. And then bright and early Thursday morning on the 17th, we will have our annual Bob Ondrasek Memorial Golf Tournament. And like you will have heard on the previous podcast a little bit about Bob O. He was a huge pillar in the development of SMA. And so this is a way for us to honor him and his legacy and his family's legacy. But one thing with the golf tournament is it's one of our scholarship fundraising efforts through the SMA Foundation. And we sell golf holes that go, and that funds our scholarship program. One of the ways that funds our scholarship program. But we will have about 100 golfers there Thursday morning, and we'll kick it off and play golf all morning and celebrate. This year, our golf tournament is sponsored by ABF Packing. So a shout out to Mr. Jason Byer for that.
Oh, Jason Byer. I was looking through. By the way, everybody, I don't know if the video will ever get out, but I want to show you this little book if we ever do put the video out. And if you're just listening, it's a blue book with a little spiral binding, and it's the 2025 membership directory. And you mentioned Jason Byer. It cracks me up because if you look in here, the second entry is ABF Packing. Have you ever heard where that ABF came from?
Actually, I have.
Oh, there you go.
And it's very unique. It's a great marketing tool, the way it came about.
And you have to be of a certain age to even understand what a phone book was, and that there were these things called yellow pages, and it mattered where you were listed. So Jason and DL are driving down the road starting their own business here. They're trying to name their business, and they're like, well, what are we going to call it? BF Packing? And Jason's like, well, no, we need to put an A in front of it, so it's first in the phone book. I think that's a great story, and it tells quite a bit about those two guys. They're really fun to know.
It does.
They're fun to work with. They're fun to work around. They're great examples of what the SMA is.
Absolutely.
Helping people. They're a great part of my network that I never hesitate to reach out to, and if they can help, they always have. That is part of what SMA will provide for you.
Absolutely. It's fun to get to know our members and know that they're just a phone call, or even with modern technology these days, a text message away, and ask them a quick question. I ask Jason questions pretty frequently.
Yeah. Well, he gets involved. He likes to be a part of the organization. He plays leadership roles. So that's the great thing. The other great piece of the network you add is Lacy and Joe Harris and Tori, the team at SMA. So you guys are experts in the field. You are kind of the conduit a lot of times between all the members. So it sounds like a commercial for SMA, but I can't help it. It kind of is.
Yeah.
I mean, the point of the conversation is to get you educated and get you excited about becoming a part of something like this. And I think it'd be a great idea.
Absolutely. It's a big family.
Yep. Family. Let's see. What else on my notes here? We've talked about the Hill Country. Well, what about scholarships and fundraising? You mentioned that part of the golf tournament is to help raise funds for this scholarship. What is the scholarship? I mean, what's that? Just tell the people about it.
So our scholarship program is our SMA Foundation, which was founded in 1987 by a group of SMA members who basically wanted to give back into the next incoming generation of meat industry leaders. And so since 2000, SMA has awarded over $1.4 million in scholarships to different universities, different students. And we're proud to have those industry students in our industry. They've come back.
Sure.
Some of them are members today. And, Joe himself was a recipient of an SMA scholarship, and many of our other members and their kids, and a lot of meat industry. And it doesn't have to be someone that's in meat science specifically. We even talk about what we're doing here today, podcasting, getting the word out about the industry, anything that touches our industry. And so last year in 2024, we awarded $159,000. And we're ready to do it again in 2025.
I'm pausing because that's a big number. I'm sitting here trying to figure out how I might qualify it to the listeners. And I don't know how to actually. You just have to have tried to raise money before.
Yes.
Either for your business, for a charity, for, somebody in need. It's hard.
It is hard.
And everybody and their dog is trying to raise money. So everybody who contributes and decides to put some of their dollars towards the SMA Foundation or XYZ charity or whatever, that's important to them. It's important they feel connected to it, feel like it's doing the thing they want their money to do. So great job. I mean, big round of applause to the SMA Foundation, all the members, all the people who have donated, because the $150-something thousand in scholarships to students, which helps them avoid the burden of student loans and this kind of thing that comes along if you don't have some scholarships, or you're not able to work through school, or you don't have grandma and grandpa that sends the check,
Right, absolutely. And, there's a few ways that we do use our convention to help us raise these funds for the SMA Foundation. And like we mentioned earlier was the golf tournament. And what we'll probably talk about here in a little bit is the Supplier showcase. The proceeds from that actually goes into our foundation. And then we also do a big dinner and auction during the convention, and those proceeds also help fund the SMA Foundation. And we'll do a dove hunt in October of this year, which we've been doing that for about 15 or so years too. And that's another means of raising money.
Yeah.
And
well, great segue. Let's talk about those other things. So the Supplier showcase, if you haven't been there, I mean, maybe you've never been to a food show or a supplier show and that kind of thing. So it's a bunch of tables in a room where you walk around and meet people, suppliers in the industry. How does it raise money?
Yes. So it is a sellout event every year. We typically will cap the tables at 75 to 80 tables. And our associate members, which are suppliers to the industry, when they fill out their convention registration form, they will select a tabletop, and each tabletop is $500. And so a portion of those proceeds from those 75 tables that we sell goes directly to the SMA Foundation. But like you said, our associate members will purchase a table and exhibit their services, their supplies, whatever it may be in the industry. You will find equipment suppliers, spices, sanitation, chemicals, even to financial tax recovery businesses there as well. So basically, we don't put a limit on who can be an associate member. If it touches the meat industry, you're welcome to join.
Yeah. And I know there's business that goes there. I mean, Peterson's likes to go because we're going to see multiple vendors in one place. We could talk about contracts for the coming year, what new and exciting thing. It saves the associate members a trip out to every single plant, so that makes it sensible for them. Not that those plant visits aren't probably also still done, but it's just kind of a really good opportunity to get a lot of people in the same place, have conversations that are going to need to be had to conduct business and to move to the next year and into the future.
Yes, at least get those conversations rolling.
Yeah.
Yes.
And sometimes that's, as a salesman, I just need to meet them multiple times. I mean, it's rare that you just walk up to a potential business partner and say, hey, let's do business. And they say, sure, here's a PO. It just doesn't happen like that. So you got to find these avenues in which you can meet them, get to know them. So the next time you send them an email, they're like, oh, I remember I saw that guy at this thing. Let me actually read it.
Yes.
Because everybody's bombarded with, people who want to do business with them or want to sell them something. And that's not bad. It's just a reality.
Yes.
And so you got to find ways to cut through the fog.
Absolutely. And, we have some associate members that will actually give discounts to SMA members.
I've heard of processors who wouldn't even buy from an associate member unless they were,
Absolutely.
like, hey, here's your little
here's your application
to be a member, and now we can talk.
Yes. And with some of those discounts too, it's enough. It saves the company enough money that it pays for their SMA membership dues every year.
Yeah.
So
I think it's just an illustration. I mean, really, you don't have to say much beyond the 69th annual. And you don't do something for 69 years and not have value there.
That's right.
We're just kind of highlighting, talking in. It's fun for me to have the conversation. It makes me just remember the golf tournament. I met a guy named Joey Edwards on the golf cart at the golf tournament. Turns out we bought bacon L boards from him, and he's turned out to be a great friend.
Absolutely.
And that's where I met Joey. Was on the golf cart at the SMA golf outing. Okay, we talked about fundraising. We talked about scholarships. You said y'all had this, what was it, the big fat hairy goal, whatever the acronym is.
Yes. So, yes, again, I'm part of me for getting the acronym, but at the end of the day, it was like a big hairy goal during our rebrand. And our goal was to get 50 packers and processors to the SMA convention by 2027 or 2030. I can't remember the dates to be exact.
I mean, some of that semantics, actually.
Right.
It's like we want more people coming,
Yes.
more packers and processors for several reasons. The more packers and processors come, the more value is for the associate members, the more value it is for the packers and processors, the more funds we potentially raise for scholarships. It's this compounding thing, so it's a great goal in my opinion. I guess I'm not a big fan of saying a negative thing, but why do they not come?
And I know that in our industry, in our association itself, we have a lot of family-owned businesses. Our membership, while we have a diverse membership, is from very small facilities and establishments to large establishments where it's easier for those guys to step away because they have someone to take their place when they're gone for a few days. Yeah. And I understand a lot of times for our family-owned businesses, it's harder because it is the family running the business.
Yeah.
And you don't have those people to fill those spots because at the end of the day, the president of the company will say may also be an accounting / plant manager
/ trash taker outer.
Right. Absolutely. R&D and all the things that fall. And so that is one of the reasons too why we structure our convention the way that we do, is to allow for our speakers to be available on Friday and Saturday, because some plants are open on Saturday, some are not, and so we try and lead it into the weekend to not have it smack dab in the middle of the week where it is harder for people to step away.
Yeah, we're picking on the small packer processor a little bit. I'm saying picking just it's kind of true. It's hard for anybody to get away from their daily lives, family, parents, grandparents. There's just lots of responsibilities everybody's dealing with. Like, I liken it to a family reunion. My family has a big family reunion, and it's the most fun thing, but we don't go every year. And why? Because we just get distracted. We get to believing we don't have time. It's going to cost us money. So we don't go, and we miss that chance to connect with my actual blood family. This is a similar thing. Like, you got to just put it on the calendar. Come hell or high water, we're going to the convention.
Yes.
And I'll promise you'll never regret it. It will be hard. It's not going to be an easy decision, but you're not going to walk away saying, oh, man, I didn't have any fun. I didn't learn anything. You won't do that. You're going to say, wow, okay, cool. That was awesome. I'm glad we did it.
Yes. And I know I'm a little biased when it comes to talking about the convention and why you should attend, but I've never heard a negative. Well, I can't believe I went. I would have rather looked at my P&L sheet than,
Yes, that's right. Float the lazy river with a bunch of other meat people. Yeah. I guess, let's be honest. If you are running a meat packing business, your margins aren't ridiculously high. So you're fighting for profits, and we're going to charge you some money to come to the convention. I mean, it has to be done. It has to be a thing that's viable and sustainable and repeatable. So we got to take some money out of your pocket to put it on. Well, let's tell them. How much money is that? What does that look like? Or where can they find it? So if somebody's like, hey, this sounds interesting, where can they find out what it's going to cost them to go?
Yes. So on our website, we have a list of the pricing on our convention registration page. And I'll be honest, some people may get sticker shock, but at the end of the day, it will be a huge return on investment.
Oh, yeah. Well, I would argue the cost of not going is probably way higher than the cost of going.
Absolutely.
It's just one conversation could be a life-changing event for your business, your family. So, I would just encourage you, avoid the sticker shock and the inclination to just not spend any money, and put a little investment in yourself and your network and go to the SMA. Let's talk about a little bit, just, I think there's so much good in just we're not trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes and sneak a fee in on them.
Right.
So if you come, you pay your registration. If you want to be in the golf tournament, you pay money. If you want to go to the dinner and dance, you pay money. We're also using this for scholarships. That's no big secret. So we are asking for money for those things. What else will there be? I got to believe you got to get a hotel room. Or do you have anybody that just stays off-site and then comes?
Absolutely. We do host, we have a room block there at the Hyatt, but you don't have to stay there. We encourage you to because, well, that's where the rest of the gang's going to be.
Yeah.
But if it fits your pocketbook a little bit better to go stay down the road, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, we want you at the SMA event, and that is
the hotel, the venue is another expense.
Yes.
But I've been to, I don't know, now 25 years basically in the meat business, been to the SMA, been to multiple other food shows, etc. It's always better if I stay where everybody else is.
Yes.
Sometimes that's at a casino, and sometimes that's at the Disney World, something or another. It's like, it just takes a little money to invest in the network. So I don't know. I think we've beat that little topic enough, but I hope everybody's kind of understanding the value of becoming a part of the SMA and participating. That's really what I'm trying to come up with, a word to say, is participate. Be a member and participate. Don't just send your dues.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about, just zoom over to the speakers.
Okay.
Tell me
Let's do it.
what topics are we covering with the speakers this year? Who are they? Do you have all that off the top of your head?
I do. So one thing when we go about planning our speaker program is we want to cater to as many of our attendees as we can. And because you might be a supplier, but what's affecting your customers, the meat packers and processors there in the audience, it's going to affect your business as well. And so let's just dive into our speaker program.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind, this isn't live or anything, so we could put it out when we want to. I don't know if you've launched or published the list yet, but I think that's a great way to just start going down there.
Absolutely. So one thing that is on everybody's mind is immigration and employment, labor. And we have a SMA fan favorite, Mr. David Barron from Cozen O'Connor. He's a lawyer out of Houston/Dallas. And he comes to just about every SMA conference and convention. And the reason for that is that is an ever-changing landscape, especially what we're seeing here in this administration and moving forward for the next 4 years. And so basically he's going to be doing a deep dive into when ice knocks.
Yeah. I mean, I live out in central Texas. I'm driving down the road. There are hay bales out in front of dairies that, in Spanish, no entrar. I mean, there are ice, the whole deportation climate. I'm not saying I'm necessarily against it. I like the idea of having a legal way of entering our country or coming to work in our country, these kind of things. So I look forward to that one already. And I know David, he's a great speaker. He's engaging. You're not sitting there nodding off whenever he's talking. So that'll be a great one.
Yes, absolutely. And a part of SMA is one thing that we like to do is we go to Washington twice a year and advocate for our industry. And so the law firm that we work with is OFW Law, based out of DC. And Mr. Eric Steiner, who is the senior policy advisor, is going to be attending our convention and just talking about the regulatory landscape and legislation moving forward. At our meat forum that we had back in February, Kyla Kaplan from OFW Law talked a lot about the dietary guidelines that is currently sitting on RFK Jr.'s desk and Secretary Rollins' desk, and what the previous administration was planning to do with that. And it's not good for our industry.
Yeah.
And so hopefully he'll have an update on the dietary guidelines and possibly some other labeling requirements and other things going forward with FSIS and USDA and anything that's going to affect us.
Are you alluding to Doge and some of the cuts? Some of these podcasts are fun and interesting because they're evergreen. Like they live out there. Evergreen might be the wrong word, but they'll be out there in the world for as long as you want to keep them out there. Yeah. And 50 years from now, people may be like, what is Doge?
Yeah.
But right now, that's super relevant. We're seeing a lot of that, I almost want to say angst within the industry, not knowing what's going to happen with the inspection staff and employees. So it'll be a great time to learn something, hear a perspective of somebody that's in it every day. I'm in it from a processor standpoint, but my inspector still shows up, so I'm not feeling any real effects.
Right. Yeah, I think I read an article just this week that there's another round of buyouts coming out. So
yeah,
we'll see what comes of that. And hopefully we'll have some answers for that in July.
Yeah. Everybody wants the answers, or you want to feel like you understand the field you're playing on. When the field starts kind of dropping off and disappearing and you don't know, I picture this football field in my head where like it just dives off all of a sudden as you're running for a touchdown and just there's a big cavern there and you didn't know it was coming. So that's what it feels like sometimes. Coming to the SMA, hearing some of this conversation, some of these speakers, I think can absolutely add a little clarity to that.
Yes. And right there at OFW Law is Angie Siemens, who is the Senior Regulatory and Technical Advisor, and she is coming. Some of y'all may know her from her history at Cargill, but will be coming to talk all things salmonella.
All right.
Because as we know, we've got a lot in the pipe for salmonella on poultry, and it's not going to stop there. It's coming to beef, or it is in beef. And so she's going to be there to lay out that framework for us.
Yep, good. Anybody that's listening that does have a plant and understands HACCP and microbiology and these kind of things, you got to pay attention to. Like, the worst thing we could do is start putting out unsafe food.
Absolutely.
And so let's deal with salmonella. Let's deal with E. coli. Let's deal with any kind of bubbling food safety pathogen or concern. Let's deal with it. Let's don't pretend, it's not there, or that we don't have to, because that's where the meat industry in America shines. People feel like it's safe to eat our food, and they know it's safe, and it's been proven it's safe. Mm-hmm. So, great deal. All right, who's the next one?
All right. We've got a group coming up that will definitely bring some entertainment. And if you're in the industry, Miss Sharon Beals, and then Ken Cable from Cisco, who is also on our board of directors, and Kendra Walbusher from Pilgrim's Pride. And excuse me if I butchered her name, no pun intended. They are going to come speak on foreign material. So another one of those hide and seek. You found it. Now let's go see, where did it come from?
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, that happened to me just 4 months ago. We had to deal with it. And from the SMA, there are relationships of X-ray people, businesses that just specialize in X-ray, metal detection, all these things. And you just send it to them and say, find it.
Yes.
And they do.
They do.
And then they're like, oh, here's what it is. And so anyway, great. Every bit of this is relevant to any person in this industry and working to make food for people.
That's right. And we're going to take a little bit of a turn from the inside of the plant, what needs to happen on the inside of the plant, and we're going to talk about animal activism, or activism on animal agriculture.
You going to tell me how to do that? How to be an activist or to deal with an activist?
How to deal with an activist, or what are the tricky things that they do? Yeah,
which they're very good. I mean, I would say they're a worthy adversary, opponent. Mm-hmm. Those probably aren't the perfect words, because I think an activist is still valuable to us in helping us understand how the industry may be seen by some piece of the population. So it's kind of worth addressing and being a part of the conversation. I always say, you need to be a part of the conversation. You don't want to be just pretending like the conversation isn't happening.
Absolutely. The last thing you want to do is show up to work one day and have a group outside your facility taking pictures, especially if you're a slaughter facility. Yeah. You got to be on your toes at all times.
Yeah. And we have to tell our story. I think that's probably a lot of the stuff they'll touch on. So come hear it. Come hear what the people speaking at the SMA have put together intentionally to help us understand. And let's be an activist for our industry.
Yes, absolutely. Let's preach the good word of the meat industry. And then, you made a good segment about telling our story, and Janet Riley will also be closing us out on how to effectively communicate your story and controlling the message.
Yeah. Did I do that by accident?
I think you did.
Wow. All right. Way to go, Neil. Gold star.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Okay, just say everybody's names one more time.
All right. So speakers, we will have David Barron from Cozen O'Connor, Eric Steiner, and Angie Siemens from OFW Law, Sharon Beals, who is the founder of SKKB, Ken Cable from Cisco Specialty Meat Group, and Kendra Waldbusser from Pilgrim's Pride, Andrew Corliss from the National Pork Producers Council, and Janet Riley of Janet Riley Strategies.
Awesome. Really looking forward to hearing what everybody has to say, and good job of, commandeering those speakers and convincing them to come share their expertise with the membership and those people who attend. So big high five to you. If you've ever tried to get speakers for an event, it's not the easiest thing.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you appreciate the ones who kind of show up every year. It's like David and some of these that have been coming year after year and just sharing with the industry. Part of it is getting comfortable with the experts. So I'm comfortable reaching out to David because I've seen his face. I've heard him speak a billion times,
Yeah.
Whatever I want, whatever this number is. It's not a billion, but enough that I'm like, he's a real human that knows stuff that I need to know, and he doesn't mind answering an email or passing me to somebody in his organization that is the expert on this thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. They are huge assets to our association, and they become like friends.
Yeah. Let's see. We're kind of landing the plane here to steal a kind of a strategy that Mike Rowe uses. You ever listen to the Mike Rowe podcast, or if you watch my LinkedIn, I'm talking about the sweat pledge and these kind of things. So we're landing the plane of the conversation here. Do you see anything left on your list that we haven't covered or didn't talk about?
I think one more thing that we can hit on, we'll circle back around, if we will, to our scholarship fundraising. And so one thing, not only are we fundraising money during our convention, but we're also going to honor those scholarship recipients at convention. So while you're there, these undergraduates and graduates, PhD students will also be there intermingling with our members and hopefully finding a job.
Sure. Or, if anybody has tried to hire somebody lately, it's not the easiest little predicament to solve. So you're kind of getting yourself in a target-rich environment with some up-and-coming kind of vetted potential employees or members of your business, or even partners. It's a good place to go, kind of get to meet those people too.
Yes. And so one new thing that we're doing this year is typically on the Saturday morning of our speakers, we have university updates, and we're about 5 or 6 of the major ag universities here in Texas: A&M, Tech, WT, Tarleton, Sam Houston, and San Angelo, Prairie View A&M. We allow them to give an update. Well, this year we decided to have the graduates or a grad student or an undergrad to present their research project. And this also allows for our members to see where their money is going for the scholarships.
And what a younger generation's thinking about. Like, I'm kind of an old guy now, and it's good for me to hear what the younger generation is thinking about and looking at.
Yes.
So, because they're just seeing it from a different set of eyes.
Absolutely.
I can only kind of watch through my eyes, which is jaded in a lot of ways. It's kind of archaic in some ways. So it's good to see and hear what the young kids are up to, and professors probably are around that are teaching them and talking to them and a part of it. So that's cool. I'm glad you brought that back up, or got back to that, truth about the scholarships, and they're going to be there.
They're going to be there, and then we'll recognize them on Saturday evening during the chairman's dinner that Saturday night.
Oh my gosh, you just reminded me. We get to dance.
We get to dance. We'll have a dance floor. Exactly. What better way to close it out than, let's relax and cut the rug.
That's right. So come be a part of that. Enjoy the fellowship and the chairman's dinner and dance. It's good food.
Good food. We actually have food from some of our members that will be there as well.
For that night?
Well,
or
no.
is that the
I
best
guess
of the worst?
For the best of the worst.
We didn't even touch on that.
We did
I
not.
mean, there is so much stuff that goes on here. Well, I don't think we're going to get it all.
Yeah.
We're trying pretty hard.
We are. But so come to Best of the Worst in a nutshell. It's a sausage tasting contest.
Yes. And you get to vote.
You get to vote.
At the end of the day, somebody wins.
Somebody wins, takes home the trophy.
That's right. We've competed a time or two. I don't think we are this year, but it's fun too to put your product out against the competition and see what they have to say.
That's right.
Are you brave enough to try the crazy thing? Somebody will love, but somebody will hate.
They are some unique flavors, I will say.
That's right.
But yes, and I think too, while we're landing this plane, if you will, we can't forget to thank our title sponsor, which is Start Clean Legacy.
Way to go, Start Clean. Start Clean, ABF. These companies send in the money to help do the thing. And you got to recognize them. You got to say thanks. They're doing it partially for that. I mean, that's one reason to sponsor something is your name gets talked about.
Absolutely.
The other thing is they want it to be fun for everybody. They believe in the association, and they don't mind putting their money where their mouth is. So
that's right.
High five to those guys. Really appreciate it.
Yes. Great assets to SMA for sure.
Everybody, keep coming back to meet people. Because really, at the end of the day, that's what you're doing. You're meet people. I think that's such a great name for the podcast. So appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.